Israel and Gaza. Na sadia mo amuni no. Since October 7th, Hamas for a Boshe Israel kokum nipa be 1,400. Ibisine that particular stretch Israel and Gaza omunya asumdweda. Na sisi ano ye hwa Israel for ekum nipa e Gaza be 4,000 civilians. Na amawia say na world leaders na kasa United Nations try say amudi nyama betu akwamo ama ekunkum ni mojahwegu no is easy. But yeah, can you say just recently within the last week no Israel for a penny say be a corridor bi ama issue ni aduane akọ into Gaza because no moye and some block all the routes omo cutting issue cutting light cutting aduane is na hwe nko Gaza na hwe so bie. I see an map ama better some 44,000 water bottles being some trucks be the Indian provisions be alcohol but the entity says anyama no enso internet Israel abomode no mo say bi kwan ma sanama no bebre esako asisi an dey ni say uhwa Israel enye Hamas and Gaza nkwa na Israel ne omwo ntokwa se mukaya for several decades Israel any Lebanon ewo ntokwa sa a group bi one my friend Hezbollah for ni Israel for ntokwa na din ebesi ne omuwie na Hezbollah official bi ebe ka asem bi or say his group is already in the heart of the Israel Hamas war. Apane patch say Hezbollah for ne de Israel ni Hamas ntokwa no omuwom gidigidi a omuntwe omuwe na papa nas no kan no me kan say a top official with Hezbollah vowed that Israel will pay a high price whenever it starts a ground offensive in the Gaza Strip and said Saturday that his militant group based in Lebanon already is in the heart of the battle. These comments made by Hezbollah's deputy leader Sheikh Naim Qassem came as Israel shelled and made drone strikes in southern Lebanon and Hezbollah fired rockets and missiles toward Israel. For Hezbollah, heating up the Lebanon-Israel border has a clear purpose. Qassem said, "We are trying to weaken the Israeli enemy and let them know that we are ready." Hamas officials have said that if Israel starts a ground offensive in Gaza, Hezbollah will join the fighting. So, Hezbollah deputy leader Sheikh Naim Qassem say, "Omumudi ntokwa omuwum after say Israel fire drones across southern Lebanon, Hezbollah forms will fire rockets and missiles across Israel. I didn't say Israel for alpha VM about VM rockets and missiles that Hezbollah for into me because rocket be Hezbollah for never fire no Israel or anti-rocket or anti-missile defense systems almost shooting rockets in down. But Hezbollah for any Hamas for any case say from him na mo fa dia ye e form na ye dia and say Israel mistake na say odin tokwa no eba form dia and Hezbollah for no be join Hamas for no na umbe crash yo mo papa now, just recently,
yet the message the Arab world is hearing is loud and clear.
The Jordan ambassador to the
Palestinians' lives matter less than Israeli ones. Our lives matter less than our lives. The application of international law is optional, and human rights have boundaries. They stop at borders. They stop at races, and they stop at religions. That is a very, very dangerous message, as the consequences of continued international apathy and inaction will be catastrophic on us all. My friends, we cannot let raw emotions dictate the moment. Our priorities today are clear and urgent. First, an immediate end to the war in Gaza, the protection of civilians, and the adoption of a unified position that indiscriminately condemns the targeting of all civilians in line with our shared values and international law, which loses all value if it is implemented selectively. Second, the sustained and uninterrupted delivery of humanitarian aid, fuel, food, and medicines to the Gaza Strip. Third, the unequivocal rejection of the forced displacement or internal displacement of the Palestinians. This is a war crime, according to international law, and a red line for all of us. This conflict, my friends, did not start 2 weeks ago, and it will not stop if we continue down this blood-soaked path. We know all too well that it will only lead to more of the same, a zero-sum game of death and destruction, of hatred and hopelessness played on repeat. Today, Israel is literally starving civilians in Gaza, but for decades, Palestinians have been starved of hope, of freedom, and a future. Because when the bombs stop falling, Israel is never held accountable. The injustices of occupation continue, and the world walks away until the next round of violence. The bloodshed we are witnessing today is the price of that, of failing to make tangible progress towards a political horizon that brings peace for Palestinians and Israelis alike. Israeli leadership must realize that there is no military solution to its security concerns, that it cannot continue to sideline the 5 million Palestinians living under its occupation, denied of their legitimate rights, and the Palestinian lives are no less valuable than Israeli lives. The Israeli leadership must realize, once and for all, that a state can never thrive if it is built on the foundations of injustice. Over the past 15 years, we have seen how the dreams of a two-state solution and the hopes of an entire generation have turned into despair. This has been the policy of hardline Israeli leadership to focus solely on security over peace and create new illegal realities on the ground that render an autonomous Palestinian state unviable. In the process, it has empowered extremists on both sides. But we must not, we cannot write off this conflict as too far gone for the sake of both the Palestinians and the Israelis. Our collective unified message to the Israeli people should be: we want a future of peace and security for you and for the Palestinians, where your children and Palestinian children should no longer live in fear. It is our duty as the international community to do whatever it takes to restart a meaningful political process that can take us to a just and sustainable peace on the basis of the two-state solution.
abusuafoɔ mo hwɛ ne papa ne kae na nea ɔpa kyerɛ ne sɛ sisi ano ɛkamia yɛ sɛ woyɛ Palestinian a mo nkwa ɛnhia na Israelfoɔ ɔmo nkwa ɛsom bo kyɛn Palestinefoɔ no, anaasɛ woyɛ Muslim a mo nkwa ɛnhia na ɔmo a ɔmo yɛ Christians ɔmo nkwa ɛnhia kyɛn Muslims no. Now, see, so we should say the United Nations are implementing international law now when it comes to this conflict now. A Kenya say Israel for no United Nations favor because Israel's allies no powerful. It been moon said the US and the UK support Israel for no. Papa ne party say na sa situation no say peninsula say court to tintim hosana. Nye besi ne say e bedum mrebi no. Moja hwegu ne ntɔkwa ebisisi no bedoso na nia ɔmo aka ɔmo Arab Council ɔmo aka dada ne sɛ ye focus sɛ ye keep Israel sɛ ɔmo be rule over Palestine na anase ɔmo metina as one nation na enya ade a ebisi na emum no ɔmo mpene na ɔmo nche Palestine enye state on its own, Israel so enye state on its own. Sɛ eba ne sa na yenya sa parties, two party states na ana two different states na sa ntɔkwa ne bejai Israel for benyomu, Palestine for benyomu. And open the only solution between I say Israel and Kola, any Palestine in Kolano, or who say Omuya Tamfo, because it's a base and a different countries. But yen buye nigusu said there be change now. As some muya country back there, ye be seen on. It's in your more yen say, Omu calling on the United Nations, they say, Omu she na Omu che Israel any Palestine, Israel and Yanaho, not Palestine, and also and Yanaho. Now, yeah, sure. You just recently in the United Nations, no, Omu to about the Omu ye vote be say Omu be Omu di nyama betutu akwan mu ama ntokwa na esi ewo Palestine no any Israel no esu etwa for some time ama mpanyifo atoto adwen na Omu hu Omu be but bill no eba United Nations Parliament no United States for also Omu opinion United States force enyade Omu be pene da ama Omu atu egu kura because one say we call United Nations Security Council now there are 5 major parties. Russia ka ho, China ka ho, France ka ho, UK ka ho na US ka ho. Say decision bi ba na say sa 5 major countries no baako pe ese there be on fa so there on bebo decision nego. Inti me esi ye ne say Brazil for a draft bi say nka ebe ya nka omunka na Hamas for no Israel for no munja ntokwa na omuko no for the meantime na mpanimfo to entie ni a ompese omuka na diplomatically atoto adwen na ehu ni ebe but ade ne kodu United Nations Parliament no United States for say omode bill ni baaye no omu ehu bebia ya churu wom say Israel ebetumi adefend ne ho enti saade a omu abuegu 15 nations ana ewo sa vote na se ana Ghana nso ka ho Japan eka ho Albania, Brazil, China, Ecuador, France, Gabon, Malta, Mozambique, Switzerland ana UAE omuka ho Albania, Brazil, China, Ecuador, France, Gabon, Ghana, Japan, Malta, Mozambique omu na omu peneso Russia any UK di omu say omu vote but United States pe ese debi anya de ebe pene na okotie ni entia omo ambassador ne some pene o say this resolution did not mention Israel's right of self-defense. Israel has the inherent right of self-defense as reflected in Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. She added, noting that the right was reaffirmed by the Council in previous resolutions on terrorist attack. This resolution should have done the same. Inti, say resolution no mention say Israel for the meantime, omo pause na say Hamas wanna attack omo a omo betumi a defend omo hu nti no United States for say omo pini nti agbogu omo so akọchoro na omo fanbra bio omo include that particular clause no before omo bepene na Russia ambassador also was a meeting as a friend Vasily Nebenzia o catch the council ambassadors ne say the time for diplomatic metaphors is long gone. Anyone who did not support Russia's draft resolution on this issue bears responsibility for what happens, he said. The current draft has no clear call for a ceasefire and it will not help to stop the bloodshed. Ono chere mu ni enti a Russia for vote or this particular event nasin o say omo Russia for no enya ade a omo ka say omo pe pause keke say yen twenen to adwida bi ni omo pa twenen say ntokwa no mu njai kra nti se mo dina o si pause a the be pause no no hwe na obi akwa attack obi na asem e ba na say omo no mo ye first nti na so reply ni omo ka na say mu njai kra enya ade omo be jai kra dia e na Russia for nso omo envoti nti si ano the business say United Nations for no omo hwe na mo start draft bill ne bio na just a few hours ago no United Nations chief no o ka assembly o propose solution bi na ne opera ne say si ano omo hu say the only thing that dey asundwe ba na say omo meche Israel and Palestine Israel and fan Palestine so fan enti a United Nations ambassador no
a permanent solution and as it was referred
No solution is possible without the creation of independent Palestine state, side by side with Israel, with mutual security guaranteed and in line with the international resolutions and in line with the agreements that were established between the two parties. The greater the risk of the violence spilling over, and we must work to avoid these at all costs.
Now, near Panasuka and Osisia, no, the only thing I'm being is another thing ideas in Geneva Banese, which countries, Israel and Fan, who have their own security and their own leadership. Palestine soon form with their own security and their leadership. Now, the beer corner can I say, one to 2 Yaman Tema, a bear say, Yassin Nano, one share not be who didn't have a gym, one share not Russia didn't have a gym, America didn't have a gym, and Arab world also don't have a gym, none to Quano, a Bianisa. Now, on United Nations, they could do one of my idea, more perhaps said, so as well be brave, so as one end of the baby. So for higher styles 24 TV. Now, said